Welcome back to the Old Gazer channel. This is a channel where we give advice, practical suggestions, practical information to new astronomers or inexperienced amateur astronomers who are trying to get through the learning curve associated with this very wonderful hobby. So that's what it's all about. And let's just get right into it. I'm going to do a change of pace today, a little bit of a different thing. Instead of me sitting here and just flapping my gums and dispensing all kinds of sage advice, I'm going to show you a few photographs that I've taken recently of objects in the night sky. Now, there are three reasons for this. Number one, just for a change of pace. I mean, you're probably tired of seeing me sitting around flapping my gums for 30 minutes or so on all the videos so far. The second reason is that I do want to show you that I don't always just sit around and talk. I do actually do astronomy sometimes, and perhaps these photographs will provide the evidence for that. The main reason that I want to do it is to just to give you a fit. I know that many of you, most of you probably intend to eventually try to take some pictures of these wonderful objects you're looking at in the night sky. But like myself, you may not have either the time or the money to become a serious astrophotographer. And so I just want to show you some pictures that might illustrate what might be possible if you take less sophisticated photographs than those that can be taken by those who have the inclination and the time and the money to get into it big time and become a really serious astrophotographer. So let me just say here at the outset, I really appreciate those who get into this hobby and become serious or advanced astrophotographers. They produce some stunning quality work, and they do it with great determination, great patience, great skill, great talent, great artistic sense, and they do it also with some great gear that they've been able to accumulate over time. I appreciate them very much. They add immensely to this wonderful hobby. I've spent many hours just looking around at various YouTube channels and other places on the internet, just looking at some of the outstanding work that these serious astrophotographers have done, and I'm amazed and very appreciative. If you look at some of the things they've done, it can just feed your soul as an amateur astronomer and provide a great deal of inspiration. And so I appreciate you guys so much, not too much, so much, very much. Thank you so much for all the work you do. I am not one such. I don't really have the time or the money to go that route. I'm not sure that I have the inclination to do that, even if I did, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to process all these pictures, and that's time that I'd rather spend investigating other avenues within the hobby. So I appreciate you guys, but I haven't gone that route, and I know many of the people watching these videos probably will choose to become poor man's astrophotographers like me. And so just by showing you these pictures, I thought it might give you a good sample of what might be possible. You won't take any outstanding super photographs, but you can take photographs that will be reasonably representative examples or records of these wonderful things that you have viewed in the night sky, and hopefully these photographs will be a good illustration of that. Let me say a few words about these photographs before I show them. First of all, they're not great photos. I admit that right up front, but I make no apologies for that. I just want to take some relatively unsophisticated pictures that'll give me a representative record, something that I can look at and show my friends and so forth, to illustrate the kinds of things that I've been looking at in the night sky. These photographs were all taken with a DSLR camera like this one. I've never taken any pictures with the camera on my smartphone. I know many people do that, and I've seen some really good pictures that have been taken doing that. I have not done that. I prefer to use this DSLR, which gives me full manual control over the camera and gives me the capability to do some things that you, at least yet, you cannot do with your smartphone. This is not an expensive DSLR. You don't have to have a top-of-the-line DSLR to take photographs like the ones that we're going to show you. This is a modest DSLR. It can be set in full manual control, which is a requirement if you're going to take photographs like this. But I use this camera to take every photograph that you're about to see here with what follows. In some cases, I had the camera mounted to a telescope. I have 3 different telescopes. I have this very small 70mm refractor here. I have a very modest 5-inch reflecting telescope, and I have an 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrainian telescope. And I can mount this camera to all of those telescopes at my discretion. And some of the photographs that you're going to see here were taken with each of the 3 different kinds of telescopes. I took some with this one, some with the reflector, some through the Schmidt-Cassegrainian, simply by mounting this camera to the telescope using adapters that are made specifically for that purpose. So, some of the pictures, a very few of them you're going to see here, were taken without a telescope, just simply by using a camera and a tripod. Now, those pictures were generally taken with an 18mm lens, the camera on a tripod, generally 20 or 30-second exposures. You'll know which pictures that I took with just a camera and a tripod as you look at the ones that are come. So it's possible to take some pretty good photographs of the night sky with just a camera and a tripod, and hopefully you see some examples of that as we go along. Most of them, however, were taken with the camera body here attached to the telescope. Now, in most of the time when people use this kind of camera to take pictures through their telescope, they're using a technique known as prime focus photography. That means they're simply mounting the camera body directly to the telescope and essentially using the telescope as just a huge lens attached to the camera, and you take pictures in that way. I normally do not use that technique. I like to have an eyepiece in my telescope when I'm taking pictures with this camera. So all the pictures that you're going to see in this video that were taken through a telescope were taken using something called eyepiece projection photography. I had an eyepiece in the telescope, which is threaded at the top to accept a camera adapter so that I can attach my camera directly to the top of the eyepiece. In most cases, I was using an 8 to 24mm zoom eyepiece, which gave me the option of selecting whatever level of magnification that I felt was appropriate for the subject that I was photographing. So, just wanted to let you know that I took all of these pictures except the ones that were taken without a telescope using eyepiece projection photography. I don't want to get too technical in this video. I don't want to get into a detailed discussion of the various techniques that I use to take these pictures. Let me just say here that you use different techniques to take pictures of the moon than you would if you were taking pictures of the planets, than you would if you were taking pictures of deep sky objects. There are different techniques, different procedures, different methods of taking photographs that work well for each different category of objects that you might be observing or imaging. And I used, all of these techniques to one degree or another in taking these pictures, but I'm not going to get into that. Those will be subjects for later videos. Just suffice to say that I took all of these pictures that you're about to see using this DSLR camera and either just a tripod or one of my 3 telescopes. So with that said, let me stop flapping my gums, and I will show you just a few representative examples of some photographs that I've recently taken of objects in the night sky. Before we show this, I won't be back when the videos are over, the photographs rather. We're going to close out with those. So let me just tell you in advance here that I appreciate you watching the channel very much. If you like this video, if it's of benefit to you, if you like the channel, then perhaps you might consider liking this video and maybe even subscribing to the channel, and I would appreciate that very much. That said, let me show you the pictures now, and in so doing, I will wish you clear skies and good viewing.